Henry, I find you an inspirational purpose. And sitting here looking at you in your early 90s, I cannot believe it's true. And you came to ballet very late, really, in relative terms, did you not?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
How, in fact, did you come to ballet at all?
Well, I didn't start till I was 21, actually. But, well, it's a long story how I got into it, but I really don't know how I got into it. I didn't particularly, I can't think back and say that I wanted to be a ballet dancer because I'd never seen ballet. I saw ballet for the first time just before the war. The Basel Company came and they had a season in Covent Garden. And I was taken to see that by someone who thought it would be interesting for me. And I was absolutely bowled over. I thought, this is what I want to do. I was in the army at that time. I was already a cadet at that time in the military academy. So it was sort of a big surprise to me.
This was the military academy at Wellington.
No.
Oh, sorry.
There was in Woolwich, the Royal Military Academy in Woolwich. I was already there then. And as I say, I went to see this ballet performance, first one I'd ever seen. And so from then on I was, we were having lessons about gassing people and killing them with bayonets, and I was drawing people with their feet on toe because I thought the foot on point was so beautiful. They're talking about killing people, they're my drawing these feet on toe. That was crazy.
So you must have acquired a very presentable classical technique very quickly.
Well, I did. I passed all the RAD. I mean, the holy RAD, I passed them all in 18 months. I got honours and the whole lot, elementary, intermediate, advanced, solar seal, so Adelina Gender gold medal I won, all inside of 18 months. But I was conditioned because I did a lot of ice skating before that was what I liked to do. So I was completely turned out, but they spread eagle. And I could jump and I could turn. So when I went to have my first lesson, the teacher looked at me and said, "Are you sure you haven't taken a ballet lesson before?" And I said, "No, I haven't."
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
And so from there, how did you get a job?
How did I get a job? Well, my initial training, I had a small amount of money saved from the army. But when I was invalided out, that stopped. So I had enough money for about, I think, maybe about less than a year to training. I was working with Judith Espinosa, and money ran out, and my grandfather had left some money, but it was tied up until I was the age of 30. So I managed to get hold of the will, and I hired myself off to a moneylender in London, and I borrowed some money, which lasted me through the next probably 3 or 4 months. And I went back again when it ran out, and then of course by that time he'd swallowed it all, because I was paying like 200% interest. The whole lot had gone. So then in Espinosa's studio, at that time was during the war. You see that some of the dancers from the Basel Company were stranded in London, because De Basel took off and went to Australia, but some of the dancers, there were some American dancers, they stayed in London. And there was a couple, his name was Joseph Crandall, and his wife Pamela Carter. They started this little company. It was called the Allied Ballet. And Pamela, the girl, she used to take classes with Judith Espinosa, so that was how I knew about it. And they immediately grabbed me because there were no boys around at that time. So they started their company, so they asked me if I wanted to be, and of course I did, because I had no more money anyway to go on training. So that's, I had like 1 week's rehearsal. I had to learn, I didn't know anything backwards, I couldn't remember choreography, and I had no technique, nothing. I had to learn Sylphide, Swan Lake, and 2 original ballets, and I had no idea what I was doing. So we had 2 one-week seasons. They were around, I think one was in Golders Green and one was Hammersmith or somewhere. Then the company folded immediately after that because they had no public and it was impossible. But it was kind of interesting. There were interesting people in the company. There were people who had been left, in England. All sorts of interesting people. I've met up with them later on. So that was how it all started. And it lasted 2 weeks and then it folded.
And what year was this?
Oh, don't ask me. It must have been 19... When did the war start?
39?
Yeah, it must have been 1940, 41, 40 or 41.
So now you needed a job somewhere else?
Yeah, well, I've had an angel on my shoulder my whole life. I just fall from one thing into the other. Mona Inglesby, you know who she is?
Oh, yes.
Well, she also took classes with Judith Espinosa. So she needed everyone needed boys at that time. So immediately when I was free, I got Espinosa told Mona Inglesby about me, so I got into the International Ballet right away. From one job, 1 week into the next week, I was in.
And then from there, somehow you came to Sadler's Wells Ballet.
Well, no, there was a whole histoire.
What? Nothing is as simple.
With the International Ballet. I signed a contract for 1 year, and it was the same thing. I didn't know what I was doing at that time. Itzikoski was setting Carnival, and the Waltz Noble, we had to do balancing going forward. I couldn't do that. I'd never done it before. So Itzikoski was so mean to me. It's absolutely awful. It reduced me to tears because Madame Evina, you remember Madame Evina? The two of them. Anyway, that was my introduction to the International Ballet, and then Harold Turner threw me into a ballet which he had made called Fête Bohème, and I didn't know. It was a character ballet, but done based on classical technique. We had top hats with ribbons hanging out of it, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I was thrown into it immediately. The first week. And there was the beginning of that ballet, there were 4 boys, 2 on each side, 1 downstage, 1 upstage. And the boy upstage was Glenn Gordon, who I had met in the Adelina Genet competition. And he hated me because I won the competition over him. He just loathed me. So he was standing opposite me upstage, and I thought, well, he would help me, but God, he didn't help me at all. So that was the beginning of the Fête Bohème. Then we went on tour. That was in the London season. We went on tour. Harold Turner, he didn't like being in the national. He couldn't stand Mona Inglesby. But this is between. I don't know whether you should publish it, but he thought that she only had a company because her father put up the money for it, and he felt that she shouldn't have been the prima ballerina of a company. So they fought the whole time. He would push her off balance in Swan Lake. He really was absolutely awful with her. So I think it was in Nottingham or somewhere. There was a big scene between Harold and Mona Ingleby's mother. Her mother was in charge of the costumes, and they had marvellous costumes, very expensive, the best that you could buy. And you were not allowed to sit down in them, or not allowed to do anything, just put them on, take them off, immediately we got off the stage. Anyway, there was some huge argument between Harold and Mrs. Ingleby, and he had a dressing room on the side of the stage with a ladder, staircase up. And he absolutely pushed Mrs. Ingleby down the stairs. And she was all beautifully dressed. She was Mrs. De Beers, she's from South Africa, she was Mrs. De Beers. So he pushed her down, she had a bowler hat on, and her hat was also... So that was the end of the partnership with Harold. So Mona took me as a partner. So I didn't know backside from anything. So I had private lessons with Itzikoski in partnering with her. So within 3 months of being in that company, I was doing Swan Lake, second I was Swan Lake with her, and Sylphine. I can prove all this. I have the pictures if you need them. So that happened. So, she was a big girl. She had a big bone girl. So I had to lift her in the Swan Lake up and down, And I thought, well, you know, I'm not ready for this at all. So I thought, well, I'll try and get out. So I went to see Ninette, and I said, you know, would you take me into the company? And she said, why do you want to come to this company? So I, of course, said, well, it's a better company, you have a better repertoire. And I think that I'm being pushed too much in the other company. I want to, you know, get a little bit more technique before I'm pushed to doing these things. So she said, well, that's all right, I'll take you, but you have to get out of your contract. So I went and told Mr. Ingleby, Mona's father. He was a businessman. He had Imperial Chemicals Industries. You know, they were making munitions during the war. He was making lots of money. And he was just a, you know, dry businessman. He said, no way, you can't get out of your contract. You have to stay. You signed a contract. Mona's put a lot of effort into you. You're to be her partner. So I thought, well, let's see, you know, what am I going to do? So I went home that weekend, and I was upset with my mother, you know, and I said, what do? I want to get out of the company, you know. Anyway, my mother went and spoke to him. So we went together, my mother and we went to the Ingleby's his office, and then, I don't know what happened, she went in with him alone, and she came out in half an hour, and I was out. I mean, I don't know how she did it. Anyway, I was out, so that's how I got into Sadler's Wells.